That should be live now. How's it going, everyone? Hope everyone is doing well the day before a nice long weekend for most of us. I'm looking forward to relaxing for the 5-day weekend, eating way too much food, hanging out with some family, having some beers, watching football, maybe sorting some cards, who knows? Let me know if the sound is good. I see the green bars bouncing. It looks like we're good. Hi, this is indeed real live, real life, real live. We've got 2,469 subs. Let's see where we end for the day. How's it going, Alex Ortiz? How's it going, Pika Pika? Brandon, this is indeed the room for detention. I was punished. I was punished, and I will take my punishment. Never Punish podcast. I did throw I threw James in the thumbnail. My thumbnail guy, Ernesto, threw James in the thumbnail because I think it fit well. I took James's financial advice that he gives out every week along with Cam. They said if you grade stuff, if you put it in plastic, even if you crack it out of plastic and put it in more plastic, my understanding was that you would never be punished. They even have a neon sign that says it. So I took them for their word. I listened to the sign, and I was punished. And in this live stream, for the next 2 hours before our long weekend, we will go through the 280 cards of my punishment. I didn't have as much time as I had hoped to. I hope to go through, and I hope to put every... These are the labels from that which I cracked. I hope to put every one of these with the card. I just didn't have the time. A lot of things, a lot of consignment things, a lot of other things that I had to get done this morning on the short day with the live stream. But yeah, I think I'll just show the PSA grades themselves and show the distinct lack of PSA 10 grades that I was hoping for. And then we'll just kind of go pile by pile. If you could see my desk right now, there's 19 piles of 20 cards. So yeah, we'll work through those, and we'll just see what's up. Neon signs come with pretty harsh punishments, I hear. Let me make sure I'm good with chat. Never Punish podcast. Maybe someday I'll get the invite. Maybe someday I'll actually make the Never Punish podcast, but not yet. I've not yet made it. This will feel, for anyone who saw it, I don't watch all of Ryan's videos, but I heard a lot of people talking about that one, so I had to watch it. And I don't have the fancy PSA 8 counter, PSA 7 counter. He didn't get much use out of his 9 counter. I don't think he got a single one. It's not that bad. There's some 9s in here. Not many 10s, though. I did a bad thing as far as keeping track of what I cracked and optimized, the goal to optimize. So there are some fresh submissions in here too. This is one of them. I did not crack out any Greninja Gold Stars. Thankfully, this one came back a 10. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to work best I can to tell you what was a fresh submission and what was cracked out. And I'll find some labels as I go. But it is a bit hard to tell what exactly was cracked and what wasn't, though the majority of what you see today will have been anywhere between CGC 8 and PSA 9, CGC 9. Most of these were those grades, with the mode, the most common number being a CGC 8.5, almost surely. So yeah, Kai wants me to crack all of them and send to BGS. Kai must have a have you got an affiliate code I can use for BGS? I feel like Kai's got a monetary incentive to be pushing that. But yeah, I think historically speaking, I've not been the guy, and I know there are people who do it. They take one card that's a 9 and they crack it and grade it to it. And I've claimed that you probably can do that. I've never cracked a card twice, and this return will likely be no exception. Maybe there will be 1 or 2 cards. Honestly, I'm not going to look too close. Most of these I'm just going to photo and list. I'm just going to keep it pushing, as Retrospect says. So I'm going to do my best to just not look too closely, even on the 8s that look like 9s. I'm just going to try to photograph them and get them listed. Use code BGS FIFO. FIFO in most industries stands for first in, first out. But as some people know who are in Discords that I'm in, I've got a different a saying that it stands for in the grading industry. First in, F off. I'll try to keep my monetization so I won't say it, but first in, F off is what the grading companies think FIFO means. Watching the live while on the skid steer. Not sure if you've ever been in one, Dan, but I guess now you have. My dad, growing up, he's almost always owned a skid steer. He bulldozers, kind of like, I mean, Rusty's talking about his bulldozer and some of the different things he does. My dad has typically had more land, but he's almost always had a skid steer. He's actually got one with like a backhoe attachment. He's got forks and a bucket for it. He's got, over the years, he's had a lot of different ones. Yeah. The mean is the average, Swami, and the median is the middle. So if you lined up every number, high to low, the median is the middle. Yeah, mean equals average. Median is the very middle, 50th percentile. Median's not the total divided by 2. Median is like the 50th percentile. So if you have numbers 1 to 10, the median would be between 5 and 6. Then you average the two middle numbers if there's an even number of numbers there. So yeah, 5.5 would be the median of a subset of numbers 1 through 10. But anyways, with that, let's look at the punishment. We've talked a little math. We got quite a few people in here now. Hopefully we didn't scare too many away. 42 people. This is submission 1. So I know a lot of people are very keen on when was the item shipped, when was it received, and when was it, all that stuff. I made sure to include that right here. So you can see right here, 200 items received on August 19th, shipped on November 14th. This was the $18 special. So I spent $3,600 in this submission, thinking that statistically I was going to hit a couple 10s, a few 9s here and there that would pay for the grading fees in total. You'll see as we go down through, that didn't really turn out to be the case. I will say some of the cards that you're seeing initially, and I will show off all these cards eventually. We've got 2 hours here. So these X and Y era and black and white era cards, these were not crackers. These ones were first pass grading that I rated my binders for. So I am confident on that. I have no labels for XY full arts. I have no labels. Like I didn't crack any slabs like that. So yeah, these ones initially, I'll tell you when we start getting into those which were cracked. But all these 8s and 9s, these are like virgin 8s and 9s, first pass, first time being graded. Same thing goes, I believe, for the platinum. I did crack some platinum. I did crack some heart gold soul silver, but the way that I did this 200 card submission, I believe that I put the virgin first pass, first send cards towards the front, and then when we get to the back is where we'll see the failed optimizations. So a lot of these binder cards, it's just part of the era. Anyone who was opening cards back in 2014, 2015, this is when I returned to the hobby. Quality control was not great. It wasn't like a Moonbreon PSA 10, 80% of the time. The Green Chiz recently did a video where he was showing some cards are getting black label 5% of the time. Nowhere near like that. A lot of this mid-era, even Old Skool EX, Heart Gold Soul Silver, Call, Legends, Diamond and Pearl, Platinum, a lot of these were pretty standard issue, 8s and 9s out of the pack. You'd get the occasional 10, but yeah, so that's pretty much what it is. For this era, all 8s and 9s. I think when we get to the end of, let's see, Legends Awakened maybe. I think, still through Stormfront. I think these are all binder cards still. I don't remember cracking much Stormfront, though we're getting into the point where some of these might have been cracks. I think, there's more black and white. So these black and white, look at all these 8s, couple 7s in there, not a single 10. We're 60 cards into the submission, not a single 10. We've got more 7s than 10s. That's what you hate to see. So Pika Pika asks a question that is very commonly asked. Where did the comment go? Oh, I gotta put it over that. So Pika Pika asks, would splitting the submission into a few batches be a safer bet to get better grades? One thing that sending one large submission, if you get someone on a good day, you're gonna do better off. If you get someone on a bad day, you're gonna be worse off. So doing smaller submissions, instead of doing one 200 card submission, I could have done 4 50 card submissions. And then I would have been more likely to, okay, I got Bob on his good day. I got Timmy on his bad day. I got, you know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what anyone says, these grading companies are fairly inconsistent. The 9-10 overlap is massive. The 8-9 overlap is massive. A lot of cards, if you submit them 100 times, and I'm not going to, but if you submit one given card 100 times, there's going to be a normal distribution around its theoretical true grade. So if you submit a card that first pass gets a 9, if you submit that 100 times, some amount of times that will get a 10, some amount of times that will get an 8. Some people don't believe it. Some people believe 10s have to be so clean that, me personally, if a 9 is a true 9, it is close enough to a 10 that it will eventually get a 10 if you submit it enough. Some people don't believe that. I still stand by it. Because I've graded many 10s. I mean, here's a 10 right here, this Greninja. This is not perfect. I see at least 3 white dots on the back. So the difference between 9 and 10 is so minute sometimes. There are true 10s. There are true 10s that if you cracked them and sent them in 100 times, they'd get a 10 maybe 90 times and a 9 only 10 times. But getting really confusing here with all the theoreticals. But yeah, there's 2 ways to go about it. Some people never send more than 50 cards at once. I send so much volume. Over the next 5 years, I might submit 5,000 cards. Whether I do 25 submissions of 200 cards or 50 submissions, sorry, I'm losing track of my numbers, or 100 submissions of 50 cards. I think I have a large enough sample size that I'm going to get like a smooth amount. But if you only submit 50 cards a year or 100 cards a year, maybe there's more merit to doing 4 25 card submissions or something like that. It all just spreads your risk. One, it spreads your risk of things getting lost in the mail, getting stolen in the mail. It also spreads your risk of getting a bad day. But if you send a 200 card submission and you get someone on a good day, they just had a good night the night before, they just got good news, they just got a promotion, whatever it may be, and they're giving out the 10s on all those in-betweener cards. Tons of cards live between grades, 8 to 9, 9 to 10. If they're upgrading most of those in-betweeners, that's where you would love to have that be a 200 or a 500 card submission. So anyways, let me continue on. This is where we are, somewhere in here, we get to where these are like fresh or cracked cards being sent. I don't remember exactly where, but you see a trend. You see 8s and 9s, 8s and 9s, 8s and 9s. The 10 button was broken today. I don't know exactly how it works, but I envision the grader having a big pile of cards here. They flip them over one by one as they go through. They press 1 through 10. I'm assuming, like, obviously there's no 10 key on a keyboard, but I envision them having like a custom keyboard with just 1 through 10 keys, the occasional half grade keys. Rarely used, but the 10 key was broken today. Every time they pressed the 10, it just gave me an 8 instead, I think, is what happened here. So a lot of these Heart Gold, Soul Silver, this is where I think we get into the cards that were cracked. I think this was about half fresh submissions. And the WotC here was almost completely cracked and submitted, I believe. And as we get into the cards themselves, I'm going to spend maybe 5 or 10 more minutes showing the PSA sheets themselves, and then I'll show you the actual cards. So 8s, 8s, 8s all over the place. A lot of my CGC 8.5s went to 8s. Some of these were CGC 8s to begin with, so some of these are just like a lateral move, but paying $18 to PSA and waiting months to turn a CGC 8 into a PSA 8, that's not the best. That's why I'm punished here. That's why this is the Forever Punished podcast today. Continuing on down, I think, and I'll confirm very soon, nice to see a nice PSA 6 Jungle Clefable. 200 cards, not a single 10. Not a single 10. We got a nice Rayquaza EX PSA 7. We got pretty much all of these were definitely cracked. I remember cracking the secret rare Scyther, the secret rare Hitmonchan from Platinum. Hopefully we can find the labels later. But yeah, that's the whole submission. 200 cards, not a single 10. There's no way you can tell me if I submit these cards 100 times in 25 or 50 card chunks, or even the whole thing again, 200 cards. There are some 10s in here. There are some cards in here that on many days would be PSA 10s. PSA 10s are not perfect. No card is perfect. Black labels are not perfect. PSA 10s have a lot of leeway at times, inconsistent leeway on what you can have on your card to get a PSA 10. So yeah, F's in the chat, please. The Green Shiz leading the charge. F's in the chat. I spent $3,600 to get wrecked, and I show my wins, I show my losses. When I get an L handed to me, I graciously accept it, and I take that information, and I move on. There's no sense stewing in it. There's no sense. I mean, I'm talking about the theory behind the fact that some amount of these cards could be 10s. Submitted again, submitted enough, but largely speaking, I'm going to just sell these. These ones have been fully optimized or lack thereof, and these ones are going to just be moved on. Let me go back full screen for a minute and try to catch up on chat some. Once I'm done with that, I'll show you the 80 card submission. I have the thing up there as well. So I'll show you Pokemon. Look at the bright side, no upcharges. Agree. Yeah, no upcharges whatsoever. Great, love to see it. I can't wait. This Saturday, I recorded the video earlier, actually. I voice over the video. I have a bunch of BGS, sorry, not BGS. I have a bunch of DBZ super cards going to PSA. And I also have some DBS super cards, DBZ super cards, and DBZ score, and Naruto cards going to BGS. So this Saturday, I'll have a non-Pokemon, not Metazoo, but non-Pokemon send-off video. PSA grading harder, or are we sending junk? It's not, like, people are driving me crazy with some of this. Like, this is the 6/6 era. We're getting into the 7 era. People send one submission off. Like, this is 200 cards of the more than 10,000 I've graded. I've had this happen before. PSA is not grading harder right now. They're not grading easier. They're just grading as inconsistent as they ever have. I don't know whether this guy had a bad day, whether maybe he graded all Dragon Ball Super before this. So seeing all those bulletproof Kevlar 10s, seeing all this trash cut with rusty barbed wire from Pokemon, maybe nothing was 10s because he just graded like the gemmiest of gem things before this. Whatever it may be, they didn't give me any 10s, and I move on with it. Like, this experiment that I did, the whole slab optimization thing, cracking 300 cards, this was from a lifetime of grading over 10,000 cards. This was literally, I cracked 300 of 10,000 plus cards, less than 5%. I mean, 3% approximately. I do have a few more. I have 300 cards left in my PWCC vault. At some point, I'm going to return those to me. Out of the 300, I might crack 20 to 30 if I had to guess. I might crack towards 10% of it. But yeah, PSA's not grading harder today. Whether they're grading harder in the 4 cert, 6 cert era compared to the 2 cert, people want to argue that all day long, whatever it may be. Josh, I didn't think any of these were slam dunk 10s. This is something that I've said before many, many times, and I'll always say it. I never pre-grade a card as a 10. I pre-grade cards as 9 pluses. And I've graded cards that I thought were going to get an 8 or a 9, and they've gotten 10s. And I've graded cards that I thought were 9 pluses that have gotten 8s and 7s. I didn't look too closely at all these. Basically, this whole optimization thing, I literally blindly cracked any CGC 8 and CGC 8.5 early certs. So this was something that I'm not going to do again. I'm not going to anything that was sub $200 value, I basically blindly cracked. I had some base first edition CGC 8.5s that I knew were going to be PSA 8s. I mean, 80% of the time. You never know. Like, some of those ones that 80% of the time I think are going to be PSA 8s, sometimes those get 10s. Sometimes those get 9s. That's the variance. That's the inconsistency. That's the overlap. Like, people see 8, 9, 10 as 3 distinct grades, but it's actually more like a Venn diagram with a lot of overlap. A lot of cards exist between grades, and whether or not you get the bump on whether or not they round your 8.5 to a 9 or round it down to an 8, or whether or not they actually give you the 8.5 that shouldn't exist and they hardly never use. It is what it is. But in my opinion, it's not worth another $3,600 dice roll, as Pokeneer says here, to run it again. So same logic as placing multiple roulette bets. Yeah, like say you go to play roulette. If your goal for the day is to win $500, your best odds of winning $500, I mean, your best odds of like making money are just to never go to the casino, but your best odds of making $500 are probably just putting $500 on black, and there's like a 48% chance that you're going to win. If you instead do $105 bets, you're definitely not going to win $500 because you're not going to win 500 spins in a row. But you're going to get like, I mean, you're probably going to be approximately negative 1.5%, negative 2%, whatever the house edge is on that. So $500 worth of bets, negative 2%, you're going to lose like $10 on average. That's the way averages over time work. And again, like with this, had I done 4 50 card submissions, it's more likely, like, I don't know what percent of graders have a good day versus what percent of graders have a bad day. But if I sent these 200 cards to the same grader on a good day or a different day, he's not going to grade all 200 cards the same. Some of them are going to vary. Maybe none of them are 10 still, but maybe I send it to another guy and maybe he gets 20 10s out of the same 200 cards. There's just a lot of variance. Grades aren't like concrete, distinct, guaranteed things. There's plus or minus, there's fluctuations, there's inconsistency. So yeah, that's all I've got to say on that. Joe Cartwright says, was this submission Pokemon only? It was. Does Timmy ever have a good day? 2020, everyone had a good day. Everyone had a good year. So even Timmy's made money in 2020. So Timmy's grading at PSA. I don't know how they grade, but Pokeneer says, sounds like a video idea. Maybe 10 resubmits would hurt cracking a 10 though. Absolutely, I'm not going to be the one to do it. But yeah, I've had this discussion. I've had this debate with people before. If you believe your 10s are 10s, crack 50 of them. If you only collect the truest of true 10s, crack 50 of your 10s and get back 50 10s. Show me that. If someone shows me 50 10s turning into 50 10s, I'll pay all the grading fees and I'll pay some reasonable premium. What's a reasonable premium? $1,000? I'll pay all your grading fees and I'll give you $1,000. If you can grade Pokemon, WotC, and mid-era Pokemon 10s, if you can grade them as 10s against. I'm not going to do that for Dragon Ball Super. I'm not going to do that for like all these things that get 90% 10s. But yeah, I would stand by that no one has true enough 10s that they're going to submit 50 of them, all expenses paid, and $1,000 bounty if they were to succeed. Not going to happen. Appreciate you, Retro. Yeah, I mean, Logan Paul's PSA 10 Illustrator. I don't know whether it was cracked once. I don't know whether it was cracked 10 times. I heard every number in between. Supposedly that was a PSA 9, though, in at least one past life. Charvy says CGC sucks. What's new in the hobby? The Green Shiz says, a wide man once said red to blue. Yeah, I tried going blue to red, and I got punished. I did comment on Josh's video earlier, though. He had a video. Go check out the Green Shiz Collectibles. He's we've made some of the same plays, taking red low grade base first edition Charizards and turning them into higher grade blue Charizards. Pokemon, are you suggesting that during QA1 or QA2 there's not another employee verifying all the grades? PSA claims 2 graders see every card. I don't buy it. Some of the errors that I've seen would be like, everyone's human. There are certain errors that I've seen that would be like literally 1 in 1,000 at best 1 in 1,000 times a human should miss it. So if you do the math, if you stack 2 humans on that are going to miss something 1 in 1,000 times, 1 in a million. Like, I've seen some 10s that were 6s or 7s. I've seen some cards upside down, backwards. If 2 people were looking and there were 1 in 1,000 instances of error, there would only be one of those errors every million cards. PSA's graded only 5 million Pokemon cards, and I've seen at least 50 Pokemon cards that were like what were they doing here? And when I say at least 50, I've seen hundreds of cards, and I don't even look that close at cards, but I've seen hundreds of cards that are like way more than 2 grades off. What are they doing here? There's no way 2 people looked at that. Just grade mint cards. Why are you subbing 8s? That's on me. That's my bad. PSA overvalued. Use AGS. Feels good. It feels very bad, man. Feels bad, man. Seeing a lot of Watsy. My eyes hurt. How are you moving forward with these cards? As Retro, who is right above you in chat, says, I'm going to keep it pushing. A lot of these cards, some of these cards are multi-$100s, even in PSA 8 or 9. So those cards are primarily going to be sold on my eBay. A lot of the cards that are like Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Diamond and Pearl Platinum, those even in PSA 9 are like $50 or less, a lot of them, except for the higher tier. If you've got an Umbreon, if you've got an Arcanine, you might get more, Rayquaza, things like that. But I'm going to send a lot of them to Evo. Evo, Troll and Toad Evo, it's a closed program now. You can't get into it if you're not into it. But they will cross-list my cards on their website and on eBay. I think they charge $1 fee to scan them front and back and do the listing, to add a new item to their database. And then I do the pricing myself, and then they sell it on eBay for 18.5%. So it's almost like the consignment service that I offer, but doing it on $20 to $50 cards, I do it here and there, but I'm trying to not do it on like one-offs. If I have 50 of one card in PSA 9, I will make a listing for that and I will sell 50 cards through one listing. But if I have like 100 cards that I need to list for anywhere from 20 to 50, I'd rather just pay someone else 20% to do that. So a lot of these will be sold through Troll and Toad Evo, which will be cross-listed on eBay. And then the remainder of them will be just sold on my eBay. I doubt I'm going to crack any more of these. Kai would show a loss if he's had one. Man has never lost before. How badly wrecked do you anticipate this to be? I would say I lost a few $1,000s. Absolutely. Like, I don't think I made my cards. Part of it is like prices are down. So I could have sold these for more a few months ago. But CGC 8.5s and CGC 8s, had I auctioned them, I mean, the best way to get them to move would have been to auction them. I think I'm going to do better selling these as buy it nows as they are today than if I had auctioned them back then. And I don't think they would have moved very well. CGC 8, CGC 8.5s of in auction. The original punishment, the initial punishment, honestly, was grading these all for $8 through CGC when they were grading tougher, supposedly. Early cert, CGC 8.5s, that's where the original punishment was. And then I compounded the punishment by cracking them out and grading with PSA to get 8s. So, yeah. Swami taking submissions, grading scales 14 to 69, with 16 being our purple label. No 10s on 200 cards. Yeah, even though they were primarily, CGC 8.5s and 9s, some amount of these would be 10s on resubmission, but I'm not going to run it again. DNA just had the same thing happen to him. He cracked 6 9.5s and they should have all been 10s. I got 1 10 and the rest were 7s, 8s, and 9s. Feels bad. Rerun them. I mean, that small of a sample size, if they look that clean, rerun them and then see what you get. Like, I have rerun cards periodically over the years, but like never to this scale. And I mean, they vary. Like, PSA is not, when you get a 9, that doesn't mean you're going to get a 9 100 times. The whole what do they call it? Scanning that they did, they bought that company out. I forget what company they bought out, but they bought out a company that's supposed to fingerprint the cards. And there are serialized sports cards that have been sent in the past 2 months, cracked out, resent, literally a serialized card that you wouldn't even have to fingerprint. You just have to document that it was in the system, that it was already graded as a PSA 9. Serialized sports cards being cracked and then regraded and getting a 9 and then getting a 10. So there's no way they're fingerprinting. There's no way they're like marking these cards. There's no way that okay, this Reshiram was an 8, so if he cracks and sends it back, we're going to give him an 8 every time. That's not a thing. Maybe someday it will be, but it's not today, absolutely. Gentlemen. Yep, that's it. Thank you, Pika Drew and your average player. I don't know what I said, but Retro says, say it louder for the people who don't want to listen. I did. So what these returns do, one way that in which I was not punished, this was sent in July. When I sent these in July, I said I would be surprised if I got them by the end of the year. I got them before the end of the year. I got them before Thanksgiving. All my 18s are back. My first 15 shipped today or yesterday. My first 15 shipped yesterday. So not only are all my 18s back, my first 15 is coming back. I'm really optimistic on the future of grading as far as turnaround times go. I still have 1,150 cards at PSA from early 2021 and 2020. So hopefully those come back before year end. But everything moving ahead, I think should be sub 6 months. I mean, definitely. I'm hopeful that we get like a $12 tier in before year end or maybe in Q1. I don't think we'll see 10 still. I might lose that bet to James. I might be punished on that bet, but we'll see. I'm still thinking the floor could be 12, but the floor might be 8 again, 8 or 7 like it used to. I've been grading north of 10,000 cards since 2014 in total, not like yearly, but I've graded north of 10,000 cards since 2014. And I think the cheapest I've ever submitted was like 650 or 7 years ago. I would be highly shocked if we see sub 8, but I would say 12 is my guess by the end of Q1, and then maybe 10 mid-year if we see it. Radar, thanks for stopping in, John. I have a video going live Saturday. I still need to call you at some point to go through some of this to show you, but it's been super busy. I hope you have I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving tomorrow who celebrates it. I hope everyone has a great holiday season. But yeah, I got to reach out to you, John. I have a short video, 10 minutes maybe, going live Saturday, where I show off 50 cards that I'm sending to BGS, and I believe it was 30 or 40 cards I'm sending to PSA from Dragon Ball Z and Naruto. Consistently inconsistent, absolutely. Swami sending his regards and good lucks. I'd like to see some of these next to some of the Lorcana PSA 10s. They grade Lorcana so easy. Stitch is a historical figure. I'm going to try to get caught up on chat and then I'll show the 80 cards. Jesse, when you submitted, you probably gave them a credit card number. So they'll charge your card. Unless you gave them a debit card. I guess if you gave them a debit card, they would debit your card. They won't show you the grades. Like they show you the grades right after they charge them. So yeah, once it's ready to go, they'll charge it. If the payment were to fail for whatever reason, I don't think you'd see your grades until you paid. They definitely won't ship it until you've paid. But yeah, talking about Lorcana, almost 1,400 Lorcana cards graded. Where am I at now? Kind of messed up. You covered my face in that, James. Sorry, Cam. It wasn't me. It was Ernesto. Blame Ernesto, my thumbnail guy. I forget. Oh yeah, you were in Monday's thumbnail though. You did make Monday's thumbnail. So, sorry for taking over your body. Yeah, like Kai. Kai here says, I got a card upside down in the slab. How did 2 people miss that? I don't think QA2 actually exists because like I've seen upside down and I've seen backwards. Some cards they intentionally put in backwards because they're like double-sided cards, whatever it may be, or maybe it's an inverted back card and they just want to show the error part of the card, like is the feature part, because it's like a Rattata or something nobody cares about on the back. But yeah, there's no like. You don't miss that 1 out of 1,000 times. You don't miss a card being backwards 1 out of 1,000 times. If you're seeing this with the red instead of this with the red, you don't miss that 1 out of 1,000 times. So it would be far worse than 1 out of 1,000,000 that 2 people would miss it. Micro influencers don't make it on the thumbnail. Sorry, Cam. I think he's a nano influencer. Maybe micro would be the level at which he would make it, but nano doesn't make it. Swami calling out Kai on losing a pack battle. Gentlemen, unacceptable like ratio. We got Retro really pumping the like ratio, which I like to see. I just liked it myself. The majority of WotC, HGSS, DP, Black and White Era, PSA 10s are 9s. The other 4 or 5 times it's sent in, the PSA 10 premium is pretty silly. Absolutely. That's my stance. I've graded many WotC PSA 10s. I've graded many Heart Gold Soul Silver Diamond. I've graded many from all these eras. and they look like my 9s usually. They look like 9s that got a little lucky, generally speaking. There are some that are cleaner. Generally speaking, if you buy a 10, it will be a cleaner card on average than buying a 9. But a lot of times there's overlap. It's a Venn diagram. 10s and 9s are a Venn diagram that are really smushed together. Really big overlap, in my opinion. They're not two distinct, different things. It's very subjective. Once it gets put in a slab, the label is objective. The label is like, this one says 10, this one says 9. That's all most people care about. So that's why the premium's there. I get the premium a little bit from some regards, but like if card for card, like it never has made sense to me, so I never buy 10s. But still trying to get caught up on chat. I'm almost there. I think. PSA will gladly take your money instead of sending back ungraded. Surprise, CGC hasn't dropped their grading price. What are we mad about today, folks? I got punished by PSA. I'm not mad about it. I accept it. I'm taking my L graciously, admitting defeat. Sorry, Kai, to have offended you by wishing you a happy Thanksgiving. Happy, I don't know what you celebrate down there. I know Canada has Canada Day. Does Australia have like a Thanksgiving equivalent or not? Instagram DMs. Interested to see that. Yeah, red to blue might be the way. I went blue to red is where I made the mistake. Thanksgiving is a great holiday. Food is great. I mean, he can still eat turkey and watch football if he wants to. He's allowed. Interesting question. I think this is a joke question, but is there anyone out there making, I know they're making cards with like a strand of George Washington's hair. Are they making like, obviously if it has a strand of his hair, that would be a 1 of 1 with that specific strand of hair. But are they making like 1 of 1s and 1 of 50s, 1 of 100s of historical figures and stuff too? They probably are. I know they'll take like a letter, they'll cut the signature off of it, and they'll put that into a card for some of those obviously long deceased famous people, historical people. Yeah, sometimes foreign residue is a thing in slabs, and it's very unfortunate. Ray said his wife tells him, you look like a 9 that got a little lucky. I mean, I would have said a 4 that got really lucky, but who am I to say? How long did it take you to enter your BGS sub? So I talk about it in my video Saturday. I won't get into it too much, but I guess I didn't say an exact time. 2-3 minutes a card probably, because I had to search every card. Like here's a Dragon Ball Super card here. So I had to search BGS BT5-055, and I had to find one graded, at least not every card individually, but at least one per unique set that I was grading, because I don't know the name of BT5. It was quicker to just search on eBay for a card that had already been graded for the set. I did the same thing for Naruto, but like I don't know. I mean, I look at Pokemon, I know Jungle, Fossil. Like it doesn't say Jungle and Fossil on the cards, but I know the sets. I look at the set symbol and I know it. Naruto and DBZ, I really had to figure it out as I went. My wife married a green chiz BGS 9, but is now left with a PSA 7. You always make sure your PC 9s can't cross to a 10. Most my PC 9s are at the PWCC vault. 300 or so of them are left. Once I get them back, I will definitely check. There will be some amount that will be cracked. One last chance at a 10. All those are going to be for sale though. All those are going to be for sale soon enough. I'm fully caught up now. So here we go. I'm going to show you the 80 card submission now to get 40 minutes in already, and I haven't showed a single card. I better get rolling. So here's the 80 card. This is an 80 card. Also, this is my final $18 tier. So most of these are crack and resubmit. Not all of them though. I will tell you when we get to the ones that were not. These were received on August 6th, as you see. They were shipped on November 9th. So I have had these for a week or two. It's just taking me forever to get to them. A lot of 9s and 8s. We got some WotC. We got some mid-era. We got some more WotC. We got some 4th print. The 4th print are really rough. Some of these were cracked 8s. Some of these were cracked 9s. I forget which is which. Maybe when we get to it, we'll see. I actually have a 4th print Chansey 9 label right here. So I cracked a 9 and I got an 8 and 3 7s. I don't know which one that 9 was. Hopefully the other 3 I cracked were also 8s. I did have some I had some of those raw pack fresh that I pulled myself some time ago. So some of these were fresh submissions, some of them were cracks, most of them were cracks. I don't remember which was which though. But yeah, look at these 7s, look at these 8s. It's rough out here. These Scream promos. I think last optimization fail stream I did. This is the final one, as I said. But I believe that I might have shown the labels with my last batch of Screams. The problem is I've sent Screams out with almost every submission I've done for the past 3 or 4 years. So I forget which ones are which. These ones might have been the ones that were cracked out CGC 8.5s and 9s. I forget though, honestly. So these might have been virgin fresh submissions or they might have been cracked out. I don't remember. All these EX era. So I cracked out a complete, I want to say it was CGC 8 to CGC 9 grade. I bought it on Golden. It was an ill-advised buy. Funny enough, I don't know if John's still in here. I remember he was doing a live stream at one point of either the Golden or Heritage, and he talked about the unknown lot going kind of high and being a bad buy. Well, I thought I was going to show him a few months or several months down the line, and I thought I was going to say, hey, look, I cracked them. I graded like 5 of these as PSA 10s. The rest is PSA 9s. I'm going to make money. I didn't get a single 10 out of the entire unknown set. All 8s and 9s, I believe. 1 7 there for good measure. So John was right. It was absolutely a bad buy. I spent 26 times 18. I mean, what is that? That's too much money. I don't even want to know. But I spent that much money to turn a bunch of CGC 8s and 9s into a bunch of PSA 8s and 9s. That's an L. That's a big L. Rumble set. So I had a complete, I forget if it was a PSA 9 Rumble set or I forget what I cracked exactly because I did sell a complete PSA 9 Rumble set that I graded. I opened the box myself and graded them all and they all got 9s. No 8s, no 10s. And I'm like, I should probably crack these and try to get some 10s. Some of them look like 10s. I just ran them. I ran them and I sold them on. Maybe these were, we'll see when we get to the labels. Maybe these were CGCs, maybe they were PSAs, I forget. Not one went to a 10 though. People might remember, if you watched the stream with Poke Knowledge when there was like 12 of us, I cracked not only a base set unlimited pack that got me a Charizard, but I also cracked a Topps Chrome pack. In that Topps Chrome pack, I got a Spectra Pikachu. The Spectra Pikachu, I sent at a higher tier and it graded the PSA 10, so that was a big win. Also, there was a regular Pikachu and a regular Blastoise. So this is that regular Pikachu and regular Blastoise. The jungle cards were ones that were pack fresh, all 9s. To spend 18 grading these cards, that was a big L. In PSA 10, they're over $100, so I took a shot. To me, they look like a pretty good chance at a 10, but they got 9s. Again, those cards that can go either way. And then these two probably would have been... This wouldn't have been a crack. I don't think I've ever cracked a Japanese base set card. This must have been from some deck that I opened. If PK's watching, it's not from the deck that was opened in Denver, because obviously that was after the $18 special. Those are out under a $15 special, though not the one that just shipped to me. So I will be in touch with PK when our joint buy cards come back. But yeah, this one was probably a crack. Anyways, that is all the PSA data pages. Let me clear this off. Now we'll have the table with the labels. Let me go back full screen for a minute and see if I can catch up. Let's see if I can catch up with chat. Josh would rather go through an airport security line than enter BGS subs in. He hates flying too. I don't know if he'd rather fly in a plane than do the BGS subs, but it was pretty rough. Once I got going though, it's like I did a lot of them that were in the same sets, so you just copy and paste all the like year, set, whatever it may be, and then you just change the number and the name. Lions or Bills? I mean, I got to root for the Lions because I'm a Jets fan. I don't want to talk about the Jets. Zach Wilson is being benched, I saw, for this weekend, so yeah, it's rough out there. Brad has a Topps Thomas Edison number to 1776. That's awesome. Yeah, BGS makes you work to submit. The weak don't make it through. Brad wants the Lions. I wait maybe weak, but money's the only thing that makes my cold dead heart feel anything, so I push on. We're getting dark in here. Who is the best trainer in the Elite Four and why is it Lance? I mean, Lance was easy to just plow through with your Articuno that had Blizzard. But they were all pretty easy as long as you capitalized on their weaknesses. You did have to watch out with the Articuno though. You had to watch out for like the Dragonair or the Dragonite had Thunder, I believe. You had to watch out for that because it would wreck them. But yeah, I'm caught up with chat. So let's now pivot from chat. Let's just start going through piles. I'm going to be here. I'm not going to stream this all the way to Thanksgiving. I'm not going to try taking the crown back for the longest live stream by any means. But yeah, I'm going to start showing stuff. This stack is black and white. This stuff was fresh submissions. So we've already seen everything. For anyone who's just hopping in that didn't see all the PSA grades, I mean, now you can see the cards. Like, this is at least something nice to look at. You don't have to focus on me. You don't have to focus on a sheet of numbers with no 10s on there. Now you can see all the labels themselves with no 10s. I usually organize these like before I do my photos, because when I list on eBay, I like to do sell similar. I organize by set and I organize by grade. So I list like all my Plasma Storm PSA 8s and then I list all my Plasma Storm PSA 9s. I did not organize these returns yet. So the only thing I did organize, I organized the Rumble set. Other than that, like, I feel for James. Look at that beautiful card. Like this one, honestly, let me look really quickly. I probably won't pull it up on screen. But this card, if I had to guess, I'm probably better off cracking it out and selling it raw through Troll and Toad. I don't know that I will, but let's look up Ho-Oh EX from Dragons Exalted and then a PSA 7. PSA 7 Exalted Ho-Oh. If I had to guess, like right now low list, there's actually no near mint card of this on Troll and Toad. Squeaks Game World, shout out Sean, has one for $30.50. eBay has a $70 PSA 7. Sorry, a $90 PSA 7. Last sold. Let's see if there's even any sold. There's none sold. So maybe this one I get away. I see a 9 that only sold for 90. So this card could potentially just do better being cracked out. I just don't know that I will. I spent $18 to get it graded. I'm probably just going to compound my L by keeping it in the slab. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to list those on my own eBay. Maybe I will. Who knows? But some of these, I'm just going to pay $1 a piece and then pay the 18.5% fee for Troll and Toad to sell them. It is still, like, all said and done, it was a weak return. I got punished, but it is still great. It's still beautiful cards. It's great to see the cards. It's great to see the cards finally back home, and there are a lot of those mid-era cards that I just don't see that much. Let me see if I can find the labels for the Rumbles. I should have those labeled. One thing I'm going to do, too, is because I collect... I tell people, buy the card, not the label. Don't collect labels. But I literally collect labels. Every card I've ever cracked, I have the label for. I don't throw them away. I don't send them back to fix the pop reports because I don't care about pop reports. So, one thing I'm going to do, though, because I know now every card I cracked out has been returned to me. So all of these are going to be like archived. I'm gonna just create a box that says like slab label archive, and I'm gonna put them in there. And every card I crack in the future, I'm going to more meticulously document. I'm gonna know, like, hey, when I get this Frost last back, was it a regrade or was it a first pass? Like, I'm gonna just document that better because I kind of drove myself crazy with how poorly I kept track of that. The Rumble label should be easy to find though, because it should be 16 of them in a row. Let me see if I can find them. Bear with me. Let's somewhere in here, I should have a stretch of a complete set of Rumbles. And like I said, I forget if they were PSA or CGC to begin with. There's a bunch of level X's, so I'll put them there. This is all WotC. I'm not seeing the unknowns, nor am I seeing the... They should stick out. Hopefully this is it. Okay, so here's the unknowns. We can see how poorly I did with those. It was a full set of CGC unknowns. So there's all the unknowns. Let's do these first, because these are the ones that are going to be easiest for me to identify. So we can see one-to-one. Like, these ones I'm confident in. This was the Rumble set. These were the unknown set. Everything else is fairly up in the air. Some cards I had just too many copies of that I graded. So let's find the Venusaur. Unfortunately, my cards are organized in the set, but the labels aren't. So Venusaur went from... Okay, Venusaur was a win. I said we got punished. We didn't get punished everywhere, though. Cherim. Look at this. 2 wins in a row. Maybe I lied. Maybe I was just teasing everyone and I actually won on everything here. Not really, though. We'll see. A lot of these were 8s and 8.5s, though. I didn't think they were this bad. So there's an 8 to a 9. You can upgrade. I swear you can upgrade. I didn't do that bad. That universally bad on everything. So Heatran. Let's find our Heatran. He went from an 8.5 down to an 8. So there's an L. Then we got Starmie. Starmie was a 9 to a 9. But yeah, basically my thinking was the more you send, the more likely you are to get like a reasonable sample size. If it's going to be a plus EV thing, the bigger the sample size, the better. Unfortunately, Pikachu went from an 8.5 to an 8.5 to an 8. Then we've got Zapdos. 8.5 to a 9. So the Rumble set overall, having paid 18 apiece is pretty rough. Ideally, I would have paid, I mean, the lower the better, but ideally on cards that are like this cheap, ideally I would have paid a fair bit less. But it is what it is. You move on to another day. But there is I think it's interesting to see just every card, what they went to. Some wins, some even, some losses. There's an 8 to a 9. No 10s though. I would have been surprised. I would have been I was clearly expecting to get some 10s. But yeah, the Rumble set is a really interesting one. Some people absolutely love it, some people absolutely hate it. I think it's more common that people absolutely hate it. Let me feature some of the arts a little bit more closely. I'm putting them out of order now. I want to have them in order for when I photograph. My son really loves Lucario. Maybe I'll give him that Lucario for Christmas with part of his Christmas present. We got the green shiz special right here. We got the Glizzy. Got a nice Mew. It is a really weird art style on all these cards. But yeah, this was a complete set that I bought. I'll have to look back. I'll have to look back at what I paid. This was either Heritage or Golden. I think it was the same auction block. I think it was the same auction block as the unknown set that I also failed to optimize. So, Starmie, Heatran. Like these ones I'll probably list myself because they're fairly niche. I do have a couple 9s up in my store still. Shout out my store too, I guess. I should mention, link in my description below. It's an affiliate link. If you click it and then buy something at no cost to you, it will benefit my bank account, I guess. eBay will take less of a fee. Essentially, they'll forward some of that money to me, but you don't have to. 10 to 30% off pretty much everything in my store. There's some consignments that didn't want to discount their items, so those did not participate in my Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale. But through Monday night, all of Thanksgiving, all of Black Friday, through the whole weekend to the end of Cyber Monday, I think I did it to go till 12:30 a.m. Eastern time. So it ends a little bit before midnight on Cyber Monday if you're on the West Coast. But 10 to 30% off about everything in my store. So check that out if you're interested. Let me lay out a few at a time and try to find the labels for them. But yeah, we got an N that went from a 9 to an 8. There's an L. We got an E that went from a 9 to an 8. We don't have B. We don't have I. This is going to be kind of tedious for the whole alphabet. I don't have the cards in alphabetical order nor the labels. So bear with me. So the O went from an 8.5 to an 8. The unknown really didn't pan out well. F in the chat because the F went from a 9 to an 8. We had a G go from a 9 to a 7. That was a big downgrade. John, he must be gone, but I'm going to have to let John know now. I never told him that I bought that set that he said was probably a rough buy, and he was right. We need L and M. There's L. I took an L on the L. 9 down to an 8. And then the M was also a 9 down to an 8. So the unknowns were about the worst slab optimization you could possibly hope for. It is what it is. Let's do the next 8 now. So we've got... We got Z was a 9 to a 9. That's not bad. Not good. It's not good to pay $18 to go from a 9 to a 9 on a $30 or $40 card. Some of these though, peak mania, when things were getting crazy, I sold some of these in PSA 10. I had had some of these in PSA 10. I sold some of these for hundreds of dollars, like $400 or $500. I want to say I sold some for. People trying to complete the whole alphabet. It was, I mean, everything was crazy across the board, so it's not that surprising that these were crazy too. There's U was a 9 to a 9. V was a 9 to a 9. I wonder, one thing I had some people ask me, they're like, hey, do you think PSA saw your videos and then decided to punish you? I think a lot of bad or negative things about PSA, but I'm realistic with it. They did not. I mean, there were probably people that work for PSA that saw it. I believe them when they say that it's an anonymous process. I believe them when they say, aside from when like the owner submits a card and he's standing there while they're grading them, all grading companies have had some of those semi-dramatic controversies. It's not just PSA alone, but I think PSA had one in recent news. But yeah, like I don't think they have a grudge against any YouTuber, especially one of my size. There's a 9.5 to a 9. There's a rough one. But yeah, a lot of people have a lot of different theories and a lot of different interesting tinfoil hat things going on out there. Where are all these? This is the remainder of them, so they all should be here. There's another 9.5 to a 9. There's a 9 to an 8. So I got super punished on the unknown set. Does anyone want to buy a complete mixed grade unknown alphabet? Because I don't want it. I don't want it anymore. I don't even want to photograph and list these cards. These are going to go to Troll and Toad because I don't want to have to look at them anymore myself. So yeah, there's the I guess there was a few that I didn't submit. I must not have submitted the two that were really bad, the 5.5 and the 6.5. I don't know what happened with the 9. That's probably in here somewhere. I probably just missed the B. But yeah, the unknowns were real rough. The rumbles weren't that bad. But again, having paid... Oh, the B's right there. Having paid 18 bucks a piece to do what I did, definitely a big fail. The theme of the week, though. I loved the thumbnails this week. Thank you, Ernesto. I loved the thumbnails. They were great. It was the punishment week. The week of punishment with Zard UPCs. And the slab optimization fail. Let me see, catch up in chat before I show the next couple. Josh wants people to shill Moonbryon because he has a couple auctions ending soon. Collectible investor also got downgraded on a bunch of 9s. The punishment is prevalent before this holiday season. The old card shop is in the midst of some interesting action. Go check out the old card shop's recent short. He's making a play. I don't want to affect the market. I'm not condoning such efforts, but he's got a little bit of a meme play going on, I hear. Dan is like a serial killer for slabs, documenting his crimes with labels. Yeah, I watched Dexter. He's got like the slide. I'm gonna have this archive of mine. This box is gonna be like my slide case with the label of all my victims. Buy the card, not the label guy that collects labels. Yeah, absolutely, Retro. Especially buying that non-Pokemon collection. I'm seeing the error in my ways. Not at all. Like, I showed a few months ago, I cracked a PSA 3 base first Charizard, and I turned it into a CGC 6. That card is pending sold. Payment issues. That card is going to be sold, though. There are plays to make hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, by just optimizing between companies. Not cracking... I mean, generally, buying a low-grade PSA and cracking it and grading it with CGC or BGS is going to get you a higher grade. It's not because CGC grades easier overall. Their scale is just different, and you're capitalizing on their scale difference. But I've also cracked, like, I cracked a CGC 9 or a CGC 9.5 Burn Tower that was flawless. It was, I mean, not flawless. It wasn't perfect. No card is perfect. But it was a PSA 10. I was 90% sure it was a PSA 10. I cracked a CGC 9.5. It got a PSA 10. That card, I don't know whether it's going to sell for 500 more or 1,000 more. Hundreds of dollars more, though. Like, there are definitely plays, but the play is not to take 300 CGC 8s and 8.5s and crack them all and think that you're going to get 20 or 30 10s like I did. That is not the play. So there are plays, but yeah, sell the slabs, keep it pushing, definitely, generally speaking. Exceptions. There are exceptions to the rule. If you grade a PSA 3 base first Charizard, look at it, think about it. It might be a CGC 6, so maybe make that play. But then I cracked all my PSA cards and sent them to GMA. Now I'm poor. Accept the punishment you deserve and move on. Sell them for a big loss. Take the L, learn from it. I'm sure that was a joke, though. Dan cracking an 8 on service may as well just bet the card yourself. Oh, man. That's the thing. I cracked so blindly some of these cards, I didn't even look at the subgrades. I just... My son actually does have a few slabs. I gave him like a couple PSA 9. He has a PSA 9 Sword Shield 50 because I had 100 of them or whatever. And I think he has a PSA 8 SM 211. I think it's worth like negative money, so I gave him it. But yeah, he's got a couple slabs that he battles with. He like smashes them together, loud battle noises like some of his other figures and stuff. So the cardboard, you smash two pieces of cardboard together. It doesn't give you like a satisfying sound. So when he battles his cards, the clack that you hear when you smash the slabs together is more satisfying, I guess. Brad wants me to spell bad things, try to get demonetized with my unknowns. Buy the whole set and you can spell whatever you want with them. I often buy cards and sell for less, Dan. It's a big part of my model. Yeah. Buy high, sell low. Like, do it with scale and profit. Just do it bigger, more volume. Yeah, there's no way PSA employees are like tracking individual people cracking cards here or there. If you're cracking like if I had an illustrator and I made a video about an illustrator that I was cracking and submitting, that would probably get to the person who ultimately graded it. But cards like this, they're grading 600 or 700 cards a day, whatever math we figured out a while back. There's no way. Um, um, Rusty just got back a slew of PSA Alpha 4 to 7 non-holos. I thought about cracking to submit to CGC. If they're PSA 4 to 7, they'll probably get CGC 6 to 8.5 or something like that. So it might be the way to go. Dan, do you do your crying off camera when these fail? I take it like a man. Absolutely not. It is what it is. I win, I lose. Overall, you win more than you lose, though, if you're doing it right. So this was a loss, but I'll be fine. I'll be just fine. I'll make it. PSA slabs confirmed, built for tough. Let's see. Yeah, be the real, the true YouTuber fashion. Talk about how they screwed me over. I screwed myself over. I think I got slightly unlucky, a bad roll of the dice. I think if I submitted these 200 cards 10 times, this would be one of the worst 10 results. If people can track what I'm saying there. If you submitted these cards 10 different times, either one grader on 10 different days, 10 different graders on good or bad days, whatever it may be, this would be one of the lowest cumulative averages. This would also be, I mean, literally, there's no lower PSA 10 rate. I got 0 PSA 10s on the 200 card submission. So the only 10s I got in the 80 card submission were ones that were fresh submissions. Let me show a couple of those while we're talking about it. But yeah, like this one I opened on the PK stream. So this one was not like an optimize. This one was just a fresh submission. These ones were fresh submissions, I believe, too. This one was from the same PK stream. Let me try to get through some more cards because we've got a little under an hour. We've got about 50 minutes left. I'm going to call it quits as I usually do. Work stoppage at 4:30 p.m. That's my quitting time, and I'm very much looking forward to the 5-day weekend. I will have some content coming out over the 5-day weekend. I am going to have a short going live Friday. It's going to be like a new series that I'm doing. Trying to just mix up the content. So my normal weekly moving ahead is going to be a Monday pre-recorded video, Wednesday or Thursday live stream, depending on my schedule. Obviously, I'm doing today because it's Thanksgiving tomorrow, and I'm not going to stream on Thanksgiving. And then a short will land sometime between Wednesday and Friday, depending on the day, depending on the week. Maybe I'll even go to 2 shorts a week, but I'm going to promise at minimum 1 short a week. And every Saturday for the next several, I'm going to do a video every Saturday. So every other, it's going to be Metazoo. In between the gaps, it's going to be Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, or it's going to be like Naruto. It's going to be my send-offs, my returns, things like that. Let me see if I can find these level X's. So I've got a handful of level X's that I tried optimizing. I should have the labels for all these, so let me match them as I did with the rumbles, if I can. No 10s. These ones, the print quality is terrible. I've seen I haven't seen a ton of 10s because there aren't a ton out there, but I've seen some 10s and like they're cleaner on average. But I've seen some 10s that are like, yeah, this looks kind of like my 9s. So we got Honchkrow right there. So an 8 went to an 8. You can't actually see that. Honchkrow an 8 went to an 8. You've got Raichu an 8.5 went to a 9. So there's a win. Win, like, is it a win though? Did I actually make $18 grading fee from it? And then the tied up cost of capital, all that. Overall, probably not a win to go from an 8.5 to a 9, but it's certainly like not as bad as some of the other ones I've done. Garchomp is off screen, but that went from an 8.5 to a 9. We got a Cresselia from an 8.5 to an 8. We should have more level X's. We've got a Flygon from an 8.5 to an 8. We've got a... I don't know where this Gengar went. I cracked a Gengar, but that might have been in a different submission. We got a Leafeon that went from an 8 to an 8, so there's a wash. We got an Absol that went from an 8.5 to an 8, so there's an L. We got... Oh, this is actually... I cracked 2 Flygons and only one's here. I don't know where the other one went, but they were both 8.5s. We got a Giratina 8.5 to an 8. We got another 8.5 to an 8. What am I missing? Just Alakazam? So Alakazam was an 8.5 to a 9. So that one did well. Some wins, some losses there. Pretty mixed, but like the hope though, obviously, was to get like 110. 110 on one of these cards. Could have done a lot, but it didn't happen, so it is what it is. These, yeah, this is, and by no means, like some people have criticized me, some people have messaged me like, you're crazy, you think everything's gonna get a 10. That's not what I'm saying. Like this whole thing that I did is not that I thought everything was going to get a 10. I thought a certain portion would get a 10, and then it would be a plus EV thing to do it. I had so much inventory at the time that I sent these out that I couldn't really reasonably get all these listed. So I'm like, let me just chuck them all back out and get to them when I get to them. And hopefully when I get to them, there'll be 10s, some amount of them. Enough to make it a profitable endeavor. I pre-grade nothing. I pre-grade nothing as a 10. 9+ at best. What do we do next? Next, let's look at some of the WotC. Let's see if I can find the labels for these. Hopefully I can. We got a Wigglytuff. Part of the issue with these is I might have such a quantity that I don't know which one's which. So if I have like multiple Wigglytuff labels, I'll just lay them both. So that's an 8.5 to an 8. So there's an L. Here comes Team Rocket. These ones I do thankfully have sorted by set, by like era. So these ones I should be able to find relatively quickly. Electabuzz a 9 to an 8. So there's 3 big L's right off the bat. Dark Hypno. Some people will watch this and they'll say this is proof that PSA is grading harder. I still don't believe that. Like I still don't believe every time someone gets a submission back, if they think they got good grades, it's like PSA is grading easier now. They send a 20 card submission every 6 months, and every 6 months they're grading harder, they're grading easier, they're grading harder. They just vary a lot. They're not like, they're not consistent enough to have such a trend. Man, this is actually abysmal. Look at all these 9s to 8s, 9s to, or 8.5s to 8s. So far I don't have a single good, there's a 9 to an 8. This one's real rough. These WotCs might have been my worst punishment of all. Let's see. I know these 1999 to 2000s were rough. The Chanseys I'm just going to stack. There's 2 7s and an 8. Let me just stack the 2 8 Gyarados. Let's see if I can find all these. So here's a Chansey that was a 9. I don't know where all these other Chanseys are, though. Maybe here? Yeah. Some of them I actually cracked out. Like, I don't know. That could have been that one. I'm not positive. Some of them were like the 4th print, but they weren't labeled as such. So that could be those 2 8s. They used to be 9s. Yeah. Squeaks. That Ampharos was almost a 9.5 and it went to an 8. That's a big L. We got a Ninetales that went from a 9 to an 8. Some of these I might have to re-roll. I don't know, though. I don't know. That 9 probably isn't the same one. That's the issue with some of this. Like, there's another Gyarados label. There's a Zapdos label. I don't think these are all right. I think I should have more 4th print labels somewhere. Part of the reason that I'm just going to archive all these and just clean house is I lost track. I lost track of what was what because I just had too much out there at once. Okay, here actually. So I don't think this Ninetales, I guess it could have been either. I have a PSA 8 label and I have a CGC 9 label. So it could have been either. Which one it was, I have no idea. There's actually a 6. So one of these chances that was a 7, Maybe it was a 6. I don't remember. There's another label that's a 9. We've got 2 more Gyarados labels. I've apparently cracked out a lot of Gyarados. Some of these might have been cracked out like a couple years ago too. I didn't used to do it a ton, but I did do it like before I did these 300 cards that I did. I probably had cracked in total, and I didn't even find a Chansey and a Hitmonchan, but I had probably cracked in total 100 cards. Not even, probably 80 cards in my first 7 years in the hobby. And then all at once I cracked out 300. Definitely going to be cracking less overall. Let's do some more WotC first edition holos because they were extra juicy, extra downgradey. No, Sean, that's the whole I thought it would be back when I did this in July, and it didn't pan out. So that's what this is. This stream is me admitting defeat. This was not a profitable endeavor. If and when I crack stuff in the future, it's going to be a lot smaller scale, and it's going to be paying a lot more attention. Some of these I did. I did look at really closely. Some of these I did like, okay, I think this is going to go up. Some of these I cracked blindly though. If I had a lot of CGC 8.5s, a lot of those I cracked blindly, thinking that most would go to PSA 9 over PSA 8. And sometimes that was worthwhile, and sometimes it wasn't, honestly. Like sometimes going from an 8.5 to a 9 versus just moving the card and getting onto the next thing, I would have been better off just moving it. Let me see if I can find these ones. There's the Erica's Dragonair, 9 down to an 8. These ones from the gym sets are more likely to be the right ones because I didn't crack, like, I probably only cracked 1 Erica's Dragonair. Like, that's probably it. It went from a 9 to an 8. So, yeah, Squeaks, I heard you make that. I forget where I heard you make that point, but that's a very good point. Squeaks makes the point that if you never lose, you're probably losing. Because if you never lose, that means you're not taking some... I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. Squeaks probably said it more succinctly than I will here, but if you're doing this full-time especially, you should be making so many plays. If you literally are only making the safest plays to where your lose ratio is 0%, if you never lose, you're probably not taking enough risk. Because generally speaking, not just a uniform thing, you need to be careful. Like, you can't just go take all the risk and make all the money, but generally speaking, the more risky something is, the bigger the payoff is. So if you're literally losing on nothing, you're probably losing by not being risky enough. So yeah, like the theory is that you make some of the more risky plays, you take some L's. This one was probably really stupid in hindsight. A lot of people told me it was stupid and it wasn't going to work. I went for it. Again, I proudly take my L. Not proudly, but I take it. But yeah, the theory is that you're getting less money overall because in going so anti-loss, you're not taking some risks that you would win on and get a higher realized margin, a higher realized gain. So again, I said that very horribly. I didn't say it very succinctly at all, but Squeaks made that point somewhere and it was a very good one. Yeah, these 9 to 8s are terrible. These 9 to 8s are painful. Like, liquidity wise, it's not worth $18 and it's not worth the 3 or 4 months I waited because the card price probably came down. But liquidity wise, having a Sabrina PSA 9 versus a Sabrina CGC 9, that's a win liquidity wise, all else equal. But I wasted 3 or 4 months to do it and I paid $18. So that's what makes it an L. A 9 to an 8, that's an L. Most these I either graded myself, and I shouldn't have graded them with CGC to begin with. That was the initial L. I compounded the L by cracking. But the initial L was grading with CGC to begin with. Some of these, though, some CGC 9s, I was buying for PSA 7 prices. PSA 7 to PSA 8 prices. So some of these, I might do fine on. I'm not trying to, like, it's not copium. I'm not trying to, like, say I didn't lose. I'm admitting that I lost. I'm just trying to fully contextualize everything. So some of these, like PSA 9... CGC 9 to PSA 8s aren't that bad. They're pretty bad. They're pretty bad, but they're like maybe not quite as bad. I guess I don't even need to contextualize it because it just is what it is. But yeah, some of them here, my thinking, if the Koga's Beedrill had gone to a 10, had the Misty's Golduck, both of which got 8s, Had a card like that gone to a 10, or even an Erica's Venusaur, or any of these cards, each one would have been hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Some of them would have been 1,000 or a couple thousand. And I thought the amount of numbers I had here were gonna work for me, and they did not. Giovanni's Nidoking from a 9.5 to an 8. I mean, that's crazy. I'm not saying PSA screwed me over, but I do feel like I had a bad day. I had a bad grader on a bad day, whatever it may be. Sending all 200 cards at once, I took that risk. Had I spread them out into 450 card submissions, I think I could have been more subject to, like, you had a couple graders that had a bad day, you had a couple graders that had a good day, and overall, like, it evened out. Had I had a good grader on a good day that gave me 20 or 30 or 40 10s out of these 200, I would have been killing it. Look at all these 9s to 8s. I am seeing this for the first time as you see this. These 9 to 8s are rough. I probably paid 8 price on buying them, or 7 price, but I also paid $18 to make the transition. There's a 9.5 to an 8 on the Brock's Ninetales. I'm gonna have to make a short out of this too for people who don't watch the whole live stream. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to make I can see it now using that. Oh no. Oh no. Look forward to that short next week. Watching some of these 9.5s go to 8s. It is what it is. Last few of the WotC first editions, I believe. There might be more. But at this point, I take my L. These are all going to be for sale, and I'm going to move them on. I've actually seen some people in, like, Facebook groups that couldn't take their loss. They sell this as a CGC 9 PSA 8. I've seen people try, like, I'm not gonna put this in the listing photo and say this used to be a 9, but now it's an 8. It's a PSA 8 now. Whatever slab it's in at the time, it is what it is. I've had many wins, and you have some losses too. There's the Kingdra. I don't think there was a single upgrade in all these WotC cards. Low King. Dan sounds like a beaten man. Let me put that one up on screen for a little bit. Yeah, Togetic went from a 9.5 to a 9, so that one only went down half a point at least. And then the Diamond and Pearl Howls, I don't know that I'm going to go through all those. Maybe I will. Let me know in the comments. Do you want to see like label on the card? These ones I was confident in, because a lot of these Gym and Neo era, I only cracked one of each. Some of the Diamond and Pearl, I did have a couple sets. Some of these were raw too. Like, I don't know what was raw and I don't know what was cracked. I'm going to have a hard time trying to figure out what was what. I do have a stack of primes here. These primes I might be able to find labels for. And Old Skool EXs. Yeah, let me do this stack. I think I should be able to do this stack. Let me get caught up though. Pikachu is really enjoying this Don't Crack Slabs cautionary tales. I cracked some EX Dragon Ultra Rares. Oh, that's right. I do remember hearing Charlie say that. That was Charlie. Was that Charlie on with... I forget who he was on with. But yeah, shout out Sherlocker. Yeah, I took an L here. I learned that the optimization plays I'm going to make are going to be way more in line with, like, old back Japanese, cracking a CGC 9.5 Burn Tower to get the PSA 10, or cracking a low grade first edition base hollow, or maybe a low grade gold star, like a low grade PSA 3, PSA 4, big hitter. Josh has done it. I've done it. Multiple other people have done it, surely. But like a PSA 3 to a CGC 6 base first Charizard. I made thousands on that one play, and it was quick and easy. This was tedious. Cracking 300 slabs was tedious. It made for some content, I guess, but I'm not gonna make this mistake again. When I recall my PWCC vault of about 300 cards, as I said, surely there will be 1 or 2 dozen cards in there that I crack, that I take a shot at, but it's gonna be way smaller scale than this. The best play is going for PSA 1 plays and getting 1.5s to 3s. I don't know how you missed PSA 1. Just rip a corner off or something. Yeah, PSA 7, 8, WotC Hollow is rough. If they were unlimited, it would be more rough. They're at least first edition, but it's still pretty rough. It's pretty dark. How many CGC slabs are bought to regrade? Out of the 300 slabs I cracked, I probably bought like 100 of them. I probably bought 100 of them, and maybe 200 of them were ones I graded myself first pass. That's a guess. I don't remember exactly. As if someone would grade the same card 6 times and expect a different result. Let's be honest here. Dan needed to be brought down a peg. Absolutely. I deserve this. Taking my L for sure. I deserve it. Funny Dan thinking he's actually going to sell these. Where's my base set Zard giveaway? I hope I didn't promise one of those for if I failed. Did I? Let's hope your ad revenue can save this one. I don't believe I'm getting about $100 a month. What am I posting? 3 videos a week, so 12 videos a week. I'm getting about $8 a video if you work it out that way. Disproportionately, the live streams probably get a little bit more because they're so long. But yeah, like this video is $8 or $10. Not quite the $3,600 in grading fees I spent. Can I apply the 30% off on all your MetaZoo top serialized cards? If they're not listed, the promotion doesn't apply, unfortunately, for you, basic trainer. I am not looking to sell my Bigfoot nor my Babe the Blue Ox currently. But yeah, let me do the next stack. Let me see if I can find these cards. I should be able to. They're pretty distinct. Oh, there is a little more first edition WotC. This Raichu, again, John, Radar. I don't think he's here. I'm going to have to send him this, though. Not the card, but the results. This card was clean. I bought this from him in... I'll need to double check. But I bought this from him in... Which... It would have been Orlando or Charlotte. Orlando or Charlotte. One of the earlier... I think that's that Secret Wonders Charizard, 8.5 down to a 7. But I bought from him a CGC 9.5, I believe it was. Or maybe it was a 9. No, it was a 9. It was a 9. I was thinking it was a 9.5. But I thought this had a good shot at a PSA 10. And then it gets the 8. I'll have to look at it later. 8.5 down to a 7. Terrible. I'll need to look at some of these closer. Like... Again, maybe some of these get cracked and just sold as near mint on Troll and Toad. But overall, I'm probably going to stray away from cracking for a while. Unless it's a one-off, more certain play. Let me see if I can find this Tyranitar. As I said, though, as I said back when I did this, I know Low Pop Pokey. I haven't seen him yet. At some point, Low Pop Pokey's going to wander into this stream. And he's going to say, I told you so. And I'm going to admit defeat. I said I would take my L if I was due. And here I am doing it. Where's this Tyranitar? I should be able to find this. I don't know. I'm not going to spend too much time if I don't find it quick. But you kind of get the point. I think I've shown enough examples. I think I've taken my punishment enough, card by card. But yeah, I can't find that Tyranitar. The Hypno, I cracked out multiple, so I don't know which one's which. There's the Tyranitar, so an 8.5 down to an 8. There's another L for good measure. There's a Flygon, 8.5 down to an 8. So yeah, general theme of the day. You crack cards, you might get punished. All these stacks behind me, if you can see them on screen. Charlotte trade night. Yeah, Ray was actually there. It looked super clean. It felt like a good chance. I forget what I paid exactly, but I paid. It was a pretty good price. Like it was a friend price, cash price, convention, but it was not a good price for a PSA 8. It was a decent price for a PSA 9. I figured PSA 9 I would have a slight win. Because I got like the homie price, cash in person. Ray wants me to keep going line by line over the punishments. He's getting drunk off the tears of my punishment. Oh, gotta love Ray. Gotta love Ray. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun, especially in the context of this optimization fail with Pokemon. I've been having a lot of fun with the non-Pokemon collection I bought. If you've seen my live streams from the past couple weeks, check out my video Saturday. It's crazy. The Dragon Ball Z and then Naruto, and there's Weiss, there's Vanguard, there's so many things that are just awesome. Um yeah, these cards. Some of these I'll probably do fine. Like again, I don't know whether these were cracked. I don't know whether these were like this one specifically could have been cracked or it could have been from my binder. Some were definitely from my binder. In PSA 8, the liquidity is going to be pitiful, but this card on Troll and Toad, if I had to guess TCG player, it's probably like $10 or less. Some of these in 8s, even black and white hollows that are like $1 or $2, I've been selling for 30 or $40 in PSA 8. So not the best business, but the cards are just so cheap raw. Like some of these, the ones that came from my binder at least, it's better to sell them in PSA 9, even paying $18 for that. If you're getting $30 to $80 even. It's like Salamence, if I had to guess, PSA 8, this will probably sell for 40. Maybe that's not better. I don't know. If it's a $10 or $15 raw card, it's definitely not better. If it's like a $5 raw card though, could be slightly better. At the end of the day though, like more and more, my business is going towards Troll and Toad Evo and less towards eBay. I'm doing the consignments. Those are going great. I do still have like grading is going to be a large part of my business, and I'm going to sell my graded singles on eBay, and I'm going to sell modern sealed and then raw singles on Troll and Toad. But more and more, my churn over on Troll and Toad is like the numbers are getting big. That's going really, really well. I've seen a noticeable increase with all the inventories I bought from my old competition that left the platform, and then just the fact that they're gone. I think that it's helping me because there's less competition in some respects. Josh. Oh, Josh, you did not need to, but I appreciate it. Donating dollars so your wife doesn't beat you for all your losses would make for an awkward Thanksgiving dinner. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Josh. My wife's a teacher. She doesn't have school today, so she's home. I had lunch with my wife and kids. One of the perks of the job. It's great. I told her what I was live streaming today. She always checks out my thumbnail. She watches some content from now and again. I forget exactly how it went, but she asked like, how much money did you lose? Like, how punished did you get? And I'm like, I probably. It's a weird thing because had I clicked the button on PWCC 2 years ago, peak 2020, had I literally sold everything in 2020, I would have made 6 figures more than retaining some of the inventory I did to today. But that's a silly thing to think about. Like, I own some Bitcoin. Had I bought it at every bottom and sold it at every top and done everything perfect, I could be a multi-billionaire. It's silly to get too caught up in it. So like, I've lost over 6 figures not selling all my inventory in 2020 or 99% of it. On this play, I probably lost, I spent $3,600 in grading fees, some amount of lost time, some amount of lost value because the cards have come down even when they went from CGC 9 to PSA 9. Did I lose $4,000, $5,000? Maybe. It's hard to put an exact number on it, but even the slabs I didn't optimize, like I'm working with a larger inventory than I've ever worked with before. These 200 cards, as far as dollar amount goes, these were a very small portion of my whole inventory. So if I lost $4,000 or $5,000 on these, my entire remainder of my inventory might have lost $50,000 in value in the same time. It might have lost $100,000 in value in the same time. I don't track it like super closely, but that's why it's a bit too silly to get like super caught up in all the little nuances, all the little like overall, as long as you're winning day in and day out, that's what it's about. As long as you're winning day in and day out, as long as the inventory is growing, as long as the account balances are going up, as long as I'm meeting my savings goals into my IRAs and 401ks, that's what it's all about. So yeah. But when I told her like I probably lost a few grand, she was like, that's pretty rough. He said all this to his wife, but never the exact number. She's still waiting. No, I definitely said, I forget if I said like 3 to 5,000. I said something along those lines. Which is probably accurate. Again, some of these were raw initial submissions. The 8s are tough, but like an 8 Espeon. This 8 Espeon will probably do better as an 8 than it would have done being sold on Troll and Toad, just raw near mint. Who knows though? Again, you can't. I don't track every card. I don't have one spreadsheet where I crack every card. Yeah, Tennis Wolf. Tennis Wolf actually DM'd me a couple days ago, and I think he came clean publicly in well, I guess semi-privately in the paywall Discord. Shout out to the Pokenomics Patreon, linked in the description below. But he had some rough numbers. Let me see if I can find it. Tennis Wolf, are you fine with me me sharing the exact stats on it or no? I'm not gonna put it on screen. Not gonna put Discord on screen. But why do I not see it coming up? My search function isn't working in Discord anyway, so I guess I'm not gonna find it. But yeah, he 2 10s out of 398 cards. I mean, I had 280 cards I'm showing today. Maybe 180 were cracked ones. 0 out of 180. So 0 out of 180 versus 2 out of 398. Not very different. I did get a few 10s though, as I said. Some of the Topps Chrome that I submitted that were pack fresh that I pulled. These ones were definitely from my binder. These were not cracked out because I didn't crack any XY era full outs, as I said. But yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, these ones were definitely from my binder. But like these PSA 9 XY era full arts, some of the 8s, they get a little bit of a premium over raw near mint. One thing that I know a lot of people have been talking about lately, because eBay had that whole seller convention, whatever they want to call it. I do need to be better. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't send any of these to Troll and Toad. Maybe I will list all on my store. One thing I want to do, New Year's resolutions are kind of silly. I think if there's something you can do to improve your life or improve your business, whatever it may be, just do it when you think of it. Do it when you have time to do it. Probably starting like next week, because I mean, I'm working for 20 more minutes and then it's the weekend. Starting next week, I want to get to where I do 5 listings a day, every day, without fail. Like, you're going to miss some days here and there, but eBay has said that they reward with search ranking people that are listing consistently. One thing I've not done ever, really, over my whole... I've been on eBay since, 2004 or something. Over my 18 years on eBay, I've never, like, for a month long, or especially a year long, I've never listed, like, 5 out of 7 days a week, every day, every week. I'm gonna try to do that though. So maybe I keep all these. Maybe I keep all these and I just use this as like, I put a folder on my desktop and I just list 5 a day. I mean, I have 1,150 cards still coming back at some point from PSA's backlog. One thing that's nice about those is that there's a nice German Zapdos. I know Josh is in here. He's a Zapdos guy. One thing that's nice about the backlog stuff, duplication. So if I have a card that's under $100, like a PSA 10 Sword Shield 50, I had 100 of them at one point. I think I have 100 more out at PSA. So when those come back, I won't take front and back pictures of all 100. I will take one front picture of one of them, and I will sell 100 cards under one listing. I love those kinds of items. I love having a lot of them, especially where the margin's good. The margin's not great on those cards. Honestly, I probably should have just sold all those as sealed promos. I forget what sealed promo Sword Shield 50 were going at release, but it was probably more profitable to just sell them then sealed than grade them, even for $9 a piece, $8 a piece. In 2 years later, sell them for $35, $40. Like, that was an L. Getting a PSA 10 on those cards was an L, just because of the amount of time that I had that capital tied up. PSA 6. That was probably like a CGC 9 before. There are a couple more cards I could have found, I guess. But we got one stack left. We got 20 minutes left. Let me just get through this stack, and then we'll just hang out for the last 20 minutes. One last stack, and then I'll go full screen. I'll hang out with chat. Leave any questions in chat. I'm going to go till 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific, I guess it would be. Another 20 minutes. So let's get through my final dose of punishment. All these 8s and 9s. We got someone unsubbing that it's so bad. I saw the number move for the first time all stream, and it went down. There's a nice Rayquaza 9. Legends Awakened 9. I want to say I sold a couple of those Mewtwo's before. Rusty said I have to stay live until he finishes his consignment for today. What time are you going till, Rusty? I told the wife I'd be up at 4:30, so hopefully you're going to be less than 20 minutes. Rusty needs more listening material. He doesn't think he can take much more Rudy yelling. Yeah, Rudy's been going off on tirades over the whole Magic 30th thing. I'm contemplating buying a couple. I don't know how people feel about that. I think it's a very interesting thing. I think it will be historic either way. It will either be like Hasbro got punished because nobody bought it, and it's one of those things, like, if it's widely panned by everybody and if it sells poorly, that could almost be bullish for its future value, because 5 or 10 years from now, there won't be that many. There will be some amount of people, some subset of collectors that will want those. And if it sells poorly, the price could do well. It could just be, it could sell poorly, be such a niche thing. It could be broadly shunned by everybody, and it could do poorly. I'd be kind of shocked though. So I don't know. I think it's going to sell out, and I think we're going to see the next 6 months to a year, we're going to see Rudy having a lot of the same conversations a lot of PokeTubers have. Vintage versus modern. How does Moonbreon go for this when this goes for this? How does a Mox Pearl 30th anniversary go for X when an unlimited, when a revised, when a beta, when an alpha goes for this? It doesn't make sense. At the end of the day, like, the market doesn't have to make sense. I'm really, like, it's just a very interesting case study. We don't have anything completely analogous, like 1-to-1 in Pokemon. We don't have a reserve list. Close things we have, though. Look at how well the Evolutions Charizard did. Look at how well, I mean, well and then bad. Like, it's impressive, the prices that they are today. It's crazy how high the prices got. Celebrations Charizard, how strong that thing sells today. It'll be interesting to see the future world, how these 30th fit into the puzzle with alpha, beta, revised, dual lands, all that stuff, how these things fit in compared to collector's edition, compared to international collector's edition. It'll just be fascinating. If you want a long listen about the Magic 30th product and you don't want to hear Rudy yell, one thing I would say, I met Tavis King in Orlando. He has a great video. It's 2 hours long. It's 2 hours long, though, of like a super knowledgeable guy. Think a Rusty, think an SM Pratt, think of someone like that, but for Magic. Way more in-depth knowledge, way more in-depth, partially just because Magic's been around longer. I'm not like, not a slight to Rusty nor Scott, but this guy I think knows more about Magic than Rusty and Scott know about Pokemon. At least some intricacies of it. It's really fascinating. Some of the videos he does breaking down the sheets and how they were cut and how the cards were stacked, and he goes into how the artists are compensated today versus how the artists were compensated back during alpha and beta, and tons of spreadsheets, tons of estimations based off of what alpha's worth, what beta's worth, what collector's edition's worth. He does a really, really cool information on the 30th Magic release and his takes on it. So 2 hours. Really, really interesting. If you're interested. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but 2 hour spreadsheet video, that's my cup of tea for sure. Kind of glad I didn't buy any UPCs or submit bulk to PSA in the last couple of months. LOLW. Yeah. Josh taking the W there for not submitting. The UPCs are interesting. Like, I'm not personally, if they go sub 80, which I would be shocked, but I've seen multiple times now. I've seen 90. I've seen 90 and sub 90 pricing on the Zard UPC. I pay 80 wholesale. I made the video Monday. I pay 80 wholesale. If I can ever pick them up on the open market for sub 80, I'm going to get more. Like I got 160 between my two waves. That's enough for me personally. But if and when it goes sub 80, I will buy more. It's at 90, so it's not like it sounds unheard of. It sounds crazy. It doesn't sound possible. Theoretically, it could though. Again, if theoretically if it were to though, I would probably be getting multiple waves. I don't think it'll go sub 80 on the current waves that we're getting. But yeah, that'll be fun to follow. It's a great opportunity though for people who didn't pre-order at 200, for people who waited, didn't FOMO, to pick them up for 90. It's a great product. Like 3 exclusive Charizards. The print quality is not the greatest. Playmat's cool. A little bit weird how it's like a smaller size. Cool playmat, cool coin. You got the sleeves. 16 packs. 16 packs. That's a lot. Like the retail value of 16 packs alone is $64. So if you're getting that product shipped to your door for 90, that's only 10% above what I'm paying wholesale, having a distributor for 8 years, spending well into the 6 figures, probably at some point in the coming years, probably crossing into 7 figures of spend with my distributor, and you're getting it for 10% more than I'm paying. Crazy good value from that perspective. Basic, if you actually want my black and white and XY era full arts, let me know. They'll be for sale, homie price if you're interested, especially if you're taking batches of them. I did hit quite a few 9s. I don't remember exactly your numbers, but they were rough. They were rough. I had a lot of 7s myself. I didn't do the numbers, but yeah, Retro did talk about it. eBay actually. Daily Refinement is somebody that he listens to, that I've listened to as well. eBay had like a, what do they call it? A seller summit or whatever, where they said that listing a few items every day, daily listing is like better for the algorithm. Tennis Wolf says we had a lot of the same cards in our subs. Okay, perfect. Well, Rusty, you got 13 minutes left, so you're on the clock as well as I am. So you got to do a little over a card a minute. Don't be typing. Every time you type, that's slowing you down another 10 or 20 seconds. Rudy rants are good from time to time, but like if your only content you're listening to, you need to spread it out. If the only content you listen to is like that negative, ranty, and I do some of it myself. Today I tried to just take my L graciously. I probably did rant a few times. I don't think there's a single live that I do without a decent little rant in it. But of a 2-hour live, I try to make only a reasonable portion be ranty, because if you surround yourself with too much negative content constantly, it will like just wear on your mental state. So it is good good to get some positivity and some fun content in there too. More and more I've been trying to work in non-Pokemon content into my weekly routine. Okay, good. Rusty's being efficient. He only types while the page loads. Josh asking Rusty for a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh content. He got wrecked pretty hard on his LOB Ultras. Sadly, the non-Pokemon collection I bought didn't have like big hitter Yu-Gi-Oh! It has a lot of like more ultra modern reprints, some of which do well graded. Like I'm definitely going to have some Yu-Gi-Oh! Send-offs. I'm going to have a video probably on a Saturday that highlights Yu-Gi-Oh! Primarily, but nothing like too crazy, unfortunately. I do have in my store some pretty decent Yu-Gi-Oh! Consignments though. If you want to check out that link below. Fat Belly Gengar asks, Hidden Fates ETB or Zard UPC, what's the better buy? Whew. That's I a year ago, if you had asked me, and I probably said it on Pokeflips at one point, I had less Hidden Fates ETBs than I wanted to hold into the future. Not really as an investment, but I guess from some perspectives, kind of an investment speculation. If I intentionally hold inventory and don't sell it, I'm kind of investing and speculating on the on the future value. I think I only have like 15 left. In hindsight, I wish I sold them a year ago for the same price. They're pretty flat, if not slightly down. It's hard because the supply is so high. I could see, I love the art on the Hidden Fates ETB. I love the product. I love the set. It's fading into the background right now, with all this alt art stuff with Evolving Skies. It's fading into the background. It's fading into the background more than I would have guessed. I have said multiple times that I think that set will be historic. 10 years from now, I think that set will stand out more than most from this era. I could be wrong though. Like, these are all my opinions. These are all my thoughts. I very much could be wrong. You saw today that I was wrong on my whole optimization play being positive EV. So here though, if you're talking Hidden Fates ETB at 150 versus Zard UPCs at 90, I would probably rather put the equivalent amount of money in Zard UPCs, just because you're buying Hidden Fates ETBs for 3 times retail for 5 times wholesale cost, whereas you're getting the Zard UPC at literally distribution cost. They're like, my distributor sold me mine for 80, and that's taking 80 of them each wave. So that was $6,400 2 times. There are some distributors that are selling them at 90, I've heard. Some potentially slightly more. So I've seen $90 shipped online, maybe minimum quantity 2. You can buy just 1, but I would take the Zard UPCs just because you're getting in at that. I won't say floor cost, but you're getting in at wholesale cost. Floor cost is a dangerous thing. Yeah, Daily Refinement. He used to sell shoes on eBay, but then he got banned from eBay, I guess, overselling shoes. Not because he was selling fake ones, but because they were, I don't even know. Like, he couldn't provide receipts as to where he sourced them, and they were questioning where he sourced them, whatever it was. Pick 1 card to grade and flip immediately at bulk tier today, go. There's a lot of cards that if you, as long as you can pre-grade well, if you're going to get 10s, I think Greninja Gold Star is bought for $2, graded for 15. I don't think it'll be 100 still. I just sold one for 100 the other day. I don't think in 2 or 3 or 4 months when it comes back, it will still be 100, but it'll be a good margin. I think. I could be wrong. Maybe somebody just sent out 1,000 of them. Maybe they all come back the week before yours do. Maybe the price is like $25, $30 and there's not much margin there. But as long as you can pre-grade well, I think the Charizard UPC promos are a good grade at 15 or 18. 18 is what we have open. We don't have 15. Greninja Gold Stars, like liquid, ultra modern, highly desirable promos. There's alt arts that are worth grading. If you can get a Moonbreon, pack fresh, PSA 10 condition, raw for $400 or $500, there's good margin there. Like, that one you'd get upcharged on, but there's a ton of cards. All this non-Pokemon that I have, Yu-Gi-Oh! Ultra Rares, even if they're reprints, like liquid characters, you pay 18 to put them in plastic, there's a margin there on a lot of stuff. There's so much opportunity, it's crazy. Just don't blindly crack CGC 8.5s. We learned today that that's not the play, but there are plays. I flip back and forth between the droll lost taking of Dan and Rudy Rage videos. I take my W's very droll as well. Have PSA estimated turnaround times been consistent this year / recently? I think they were estimating 150 days or 180 days on the 18, and I got all mine back between 90 to 120 days it would have been, I guess. So, yeah, as far as I understand, some of the frustration, I've seen some frustration where people are sending at 50 and their own $18 submission or their own $30 submission is leapfrogging and being quicker than their 50. So the 50, the 100, the 150 and up, some of those are like FIFO, first in, F off. They're doing weird things with some of that, but generally speaking, I don't think they're going late on anything. I think they're being really good, and they should though. Like that should be the expectation. It's, in my opinion, like they deserve some praise for having righted the ship, having fixed everything, but that should be the baseline expectation. It's not very hard to manage turnaround times. It's not very hard to do the simple math. We can grade 1 million a month. If we take in more than 1 million a month, the backlog grows, and that's bad. So yeah, they should just keep that baseline happiness with meeting their turnaround times. Yeah, absolutely. They're definitely estimating high, which set low expectations and exceed them. I think that's the way it should go. My LGS has the UPC at 130 and the ETB at 130. I mean, if you want to support your LGS, that's great, but it's definitely cheaper online. I think there's a ton of merit to supporting an LGS and buying them for $30, $40 more. If you have a sense of community there, if you get a lot out of the LGS and you don't want to see them go, That is a decent premium. But if I had to pay the same price for either, I would lean more towards the Hidden Fates ETB at that point. I picked the Zard UPC when it was 90 versus 150 that I thought it was the price. But if it's 130 versus 130, I kind of like the Hidden Fates ETB more. But honestly, a year from now, the Zard UPC might be beating it. I would think 3 or 5 years from now, the Hidden Fates ETB could be beating it. But I could be completely wrong there. I mean, that's just my guess. I'm not necessarily like investing in either. I own a lot of, well, I own 15 Hidden Fates ETBs. I might own a little over 100 Zard UPCs, but yeah, I have a few hundred Greninja Gold stars, and I've graded a few periodically. Today, I only had one in that submission. It came back a 10. Prior to that, I had a return where I sent 8. I got 4 9s and 4 10s, so I'm slightly over 50% 10 rate. It's been profitable. With a $25 9, that's like break even. By the time you ship it, pay fees, slight loss. You selling a $25 9 that you paid $15 to grade, $2 for the card, $4 to ship it, $2.50 in eBay fees. That's a slight loss, but $100 10 is a big win. I mean, that's like a $60 win at least. So a ton of people, myself included, but I'm not going to sell my Greninja Gold stars for like, I'm not going to sell ones that are tenable for $2 or $3 a piece, because I bought some of them at $2 to $3 a piece. Then when they went to $1, I bought a bunch more. Like, I have a lot of them. I have a ton of them. Oh, okay. I didn't hear about that. Skippy. Dan, your Charizard painting is tilted. Very bad for my OCD. Sorry. It is very tilted. I probably knocked it when I was turning around with some cards. Apologies for that. What is the latest you would sub at bulk to get them back by Orlando? Now? I would definitely sell them now. The $18 tier, you'll probably get them back, but I don't think it's certain. PSA could definitely, they just opened up $15 sports. Who knows? In the next couple of weeks, before year end, they might open 12. Like, that's very in the realm of possibility. So if and when they open 12 and you still not sent out your 18, I would just worry that it could get like lost in the mix there. I would worry that you might get FIFO'd. So I would send them ASAP if you're wanting them back for Orlando personally. If your LGS gets less allocation than Dan, support your LGS. Yeah, definitely. It is weird. It is. I mean, I've been with my distributor for 8 years. How they allocate who gets what and why some online retailers get more than some brick and mortars. I don't know how they do all that, but yeah, it is what it is. Greninja 10 rate is only about 23% versus 9 based on PSA pop. So I've done well. I've done well grading over 50% because I've been pretty particular with the ones I've picked. Will you be buying Pikachu on the ball or Japanese SV Pika? I have seen a lot of people buying a bunch of the Pikachu SV1s. I loved the Sword Shield 20 promo. I didn't buy a lot of the promos directly, but I bought a lot of the collection boxes. I might make a play buying 50 or 100 of the SV1 Japanese promo. I'm not sure yet. I haven't yet. Yeah. Rudy's rant. It used to be MVP Sports and More, or MVP Sports and More, I think it was, selling the $69.99, $79.99 shipped. But Rudy ranted pretty good about Football Pete. Ray sent to 18 today, hoping to get them back by Orlando. If you're sending at 18, I would absolutely send now if you want them back. But you could submit a month from now and get it back. Who knows? Like some 15, like my first 15. Let me look at it to get you the actual data. So my first 15. Let me find the exact date so I'm not guessing. My first 15 arrived on October 17th. It was entered on October 21st. 1 calendar month later, on November 22nd, yesterday, it was shipped. That was the $15. It's called Monthly Special 17. My other ones, let me look quickly. I normally don't look at this. I know people look at it all the time though, but I have 3 other Monthly Special 17s. One's in grading, another's in grading, and the other's in grading. So they're all in grading. One is already back. It's shipping back. So the 15 took 1 month. Theoretically, the 18 should be the same or slightly faster, but I would not push it. I would not submit in January, assuming you're going to get back for Orlando. I would submit sooner rather than later. It's supposed to be the last weekend in February. It was printed in a Heritage magazine that was, an image was leaked somewhere. I want to say it's February 25th and 26th. I would not book flights. I would not book hotels. Wait for them to formally announce it on their Instagram. Who knows? It could change, but the date that I saw was in print in a Heritage magazine, I believe. Oh, you've had it for 8 years, way longer than I thought. Yeah, I've been with distributors since I've been spending 5 figures plus annually since 2015. 2014 I would have joined my distributor very late. 2015 I would have spent 5 figures. The first year I spent 6 figures would have been 2020 probably. This year I'm spending north of $250,000 with distributors though. I'm spending a lot with them, and I'm hoping to increase that substantially in the coming years. So yeah, I think I've definitely earned. I don't know relative to anyone else whether I should have more or less, but I think I've earned my way up to where I'm at with my consistent spend. And I've always been one to take like some of the worst products and break them down and do different things with them. So I think the distributors kind of like me from that regard, that I don't just buy booster boxes and ETBs and Zard collections. I buy some of the junkier stuff too. But I'm gonna like rapid fire a couple of these last questions. Probably don't add any more questions because I probably won't get to them. But yeah, have an amazing Thanksgiving tomorrow. Anyone who celebrates it, sorry, Kai, if that offends you. I know you're in Australia and you guys don't celebrate Thanksgiving. He got a little offended by that earlier. But yeah. Steve says, my $15 TCG special came in 1 month and had high-res scans by PSA. How did this happen? PSA, PSA has been pushing out some videos. I'm subscribed to them on YouTube. They've been pushing out some of their weekly podcasts on their channel, and they've also been pushing out some other content too. Go subscribe if you submit a lot to PSA, if your business or if you're collecting depends on PSA. I think they're a good subscription. But I listened to one of their more recent podcasts recently where they talked to the new president or the new VP, whatever he was. They intend in the coming months or years, I don't know exactly what, they intend to high-res scan every card. I don't think it will be an add-on fee. I think it is intended to be an included service at every level moving ahead. So maybe that will be where they integrate some of the Jenna Mint. Maybe in the future, cracking and resubmitting, they will have a fingerprint on every card. Who knows? But yeah, like scans definitely happen from everything that I've seen on the 50 and higher. But I have heard of them periodically happening on the lower ones too. So it will be cool in the future. It will be cool in the future for people to be able to have high-res scans. With maybe you list on eBay with just PSA scans and you don't have to scan yourself, you don't have to photo yourself. That takes a lot of time out of the process if you're able to like download those all quickly. If they made a feature where you could download your whole submission scans in one click of a button, I'm going to like send that into PSA somehow. I'm going to send them some feedback. And if that was a feature they could add, that would be amazing. I'll hit this one quickly before we end, but this was asked after 4:30 ball. Hit it. Why does everyone hate Football Pete? I think a lot of the issue with, and this is where I'm a Mezzu partner. I make this statement multiple times, but MAP may have some merit, a minimum advertised price. The issue is when you have a Walmart competing with a mom and pop store. Like picture me being the mom and pop store, picturing a guy like Mason being a mom and pop store. I'm online, he's brick and mortar. But we can't compete when distributors start selling them things themselves. Walmart is at such a scale, they're essentially getting everything at distributor pricing. And they're able to undercut everyone on everything. You can never match Walmart. You just can't do it. You can't be profitable because of their scale. So Football Pete is like the Walmart here. And when he sells boxes for 90 shipped, and I'm buying them for $86.50, and Mason's buying them for $86.50, we literally can't compete. He's probably paying $70 a box or $72 a box, and he's also paying eBay only 2 or 3%, 4% fees. We're paying eBay 13% fees. So having someone in a marketplace who has such lower fees and such lower cost basis, you literally just cannot compete. And it's bad. It's bad for the little guys. And that's where MetaZoo is trying to combat some of that with the MAP, minimum advertised price. It's not panning out perfectly well. A lot of people are violating MAP. However, that's all being handled. It's better with Seance. They cut the print run. It hasn't nosedive as quickly as UFO or Wilderness did. But yeah, it all remains to be seen where that pans out with MetaZoo. P Football P, I don't think he does MetaZoo. Maybe he does actually get MetaZoo too. I'm not sure, but he does it with a lot of sealed product. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I remember it being MVP Sports and more. But PK actually talked about, I think PK knows the guy, and I think PK talked to the guy and might have him on his channel at some point. That would be a really interesting podcast if that ever were to happen. So shout out PK if you're listening. Get P Football Pete on. I mean, I don't think it's right to like say all these. I mean, he's not breaking any laws. He's not doing anything wrong as far as I understand. It's not his fault that he's operating to the best way for his business. I mean, I operate the best way I can for my business. It is what it is. Like at the end of the day is my take more. Some people hate and trying to bash people, and yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing with that. But yeah, with all that, have an amazing Thanksgiving tomorrow. I hope your football teams win. I hope you have a great time with family and friends. Hope everyone has safe travels. I don't know if we're supposed to get snow here tomorrow or not, but sometimes it can be dicey weather on Thanksgiving. So yeah, it's been a fun stream. I got wrecked. All these labels are going into the archive, and I'm not going to ever crack so many cards all at once again. If and when I crack cards, it will be in small 10-card batches, and I will more properly trace which one was which. So yeah, with that, actually, quickly, before I end, I think James and Cam are live. Since I used their likenesses, maybe they're not anymore. Let me see. If James and Cam are still live... No, they did a short one. They only went for 46 minutes. I was going to say I'm going to raid James and Cam because I stole their likenesses for my thumbnail. And I even stole Cam's body for my thumbnail. So I can't raid James and Cam, but go check them out and give them a subscription anyways because they're good dudes and they've got good content. Let me just link their last video so you can go like and subscribe. Unfortunately, we can't raid though. But yeah, that's everything I've got for today. I'm already 7 minutes into overtime, so happy Thanksgiving, and I will catch you all later.